Hey freelancers, I'm going to be covering an honest Cambly review. Essentially, you're getting paid to teach English in 2020. The nice thing about this particular one is that it doesn't require any previous experience, although obviously that's going to help since you should be a native speaker to English if you're going to try to essentially teach English to people. And I'm going to walk you through some basic steps of what that is and all that, but make sure to subscribe to the channel for other work from home type of jobs. Make sure to like this video and comment below your experiences with Cambly and other programs just like it. But I'm going to get started here. That Cambly, if you're not familiar, is essentially video chatting with other individuals, and you essentially help to learn to speak like a native. So you got an English teacher teaching someone to speak English a little bit better. They have like a different plan pricing kind of thing here. As you can see, you just talk to, it's more a personable experience. The problem with that I'll get into here in just a little bit, but as you can see, most of your classes speak without fear, work on your own schedule, and they can reserve with their favorite tutors. So if they like someone a lot, there's a lot of monies to be made, but I'm going to get into some issues with that. And you can see a little bit more if you want more advanced. And they've been featured on Forbes, Webrazia I've never even heard of, Exami I've never heard of, TechCrunch I've heard of. So Forbes and TechCrunch being mentioned on that is a very big deal. And I'm going to scroll back up here to the top and give you guys an idea of what they charge their customers. I know that you guys are here for the understanding of what that is, but obviously you can see that the people paying this are quite serious. Unfortunately, they do have a little bit of a trial aspect, so you're often going to get the trial people there kind of taunting you and things like that. But if you're looking for a work from home job, it's a pretty nice job because it does actually pay you what they say that it pays. And I'm going to go into this article that I found here. This is from Ecuador Abroad, so this guy is not from the US, but he's able to use this work from home job from where he's located. He said he's been doing this since 2013. Cambly claims that they offer about 17 cents a minute, which is accurate. Comes to about $10.20 US an hour, assuming that you can get that kind of work continually. Unfortunately, he breaks down. He gets maybe a little bit less than 8.50 or around 8.50 an hour, but then he goes a little bit further in and you go more and more down. Then he says at the minimum, he guarantees 15 minutes of pay for every priority hour that you sign up for. It's really not a lot to guarantee, although since it only works out to about $2.55 an hour, that means that for every hour you're going to get at least 15 minutes worth of pay. So for every 15 minutes out of that hour, you will basically get that pay. For the holidays, obviously, you're guaranteed closer to 5 to 6 an hour. Obviously, for US workers, this isn't the most viable thing, but if you're doing this on the side and you can do this with a lot of spare time, it doesn't seem like they restrict you for how much and how long you can do this. So if you did this for 2 hours a day, you might be able to squeeze out around the holidays $10, $15 an hour, $10, $15 for every 2 hours, and then that adds up to a couple hundred to $300 a month, assuming you're only doing this on select holidays or kind of more limited, restrictive time frames for other people. You're not really going to get, ideally, the 5 an hour. You're closer to get to the 3 to 5 an hour. You might be able to pull out 10 an hour if you're on there long enough and you're getting good enough reviews and things like that. There's a little bit of a breakdown here. In his first month, he averaged $6.34 an hour. In his second, he averaged $7.46 an hour. In his third month, it went to about $7.56, and in the fourth, $8.44. There's highs and there's lows, of course, but it seems that they reward you the longer you're with them. And he says in his entire Cambly career, he's only benefited of the minimum PH guarantee exactly 4 times, been paid the full $10.20 on precisely only 2 occasions. If you're not familiar, Cambly pays through PayPal, and they happen every Monday like clockwork. That's not a complaint you really see, is that they do guarantee that they pay. Unfortunately, you have to have at least a minimum amount of 20, which isn't that hard to obtain, but if you just wanted to try it out or something, it's could take a little bit to get to that point. As he highlights, if your payment will sit there permanently if you don't make more than $20 total. I know some of that signed up, worked 1 hour, and didn't log in until a year later. When they sign in after a year, they saw their exact balance still sitting there in their payment summary. It doesn't seem like anyone's really worried about the aspect of them actually paying. The issue is whether they're going to get enough work and the kind of people they have to deal with. He goes in a little bit of the tutor rating here, that as you start out, you have the tag and new talent instead of tutor rating. The way to get rid of this is by accumulating a certain number of ratings until Cambly feels that they can give a decent average. And then, as he says, for me, until I had worked around 50 hours of talk time, that my tag was replaced by a rating. And then he says, of course, once he got to that point, he noticed an increase in calls at this point. So, in that sense, that means he's going to get more serious clients, and that means he's going to get a better hourly rate. So, on his estimate, if you stick through for at least 50 hours, you're going to start noticing a better, more consistent amount of pay and amount of hours that you can get working with Cambly. He said one tricky thing with Cambly is that they don't let the tutors see the student feedback, which can be difficult to know how to improve. So that's something that maybe in the 2020 they might consider adding for Cambly, but I don't know. I'm going to get into further reviews of more individuals here, so make sure to subscribe to that channel if you haven't yet. Comment below if you haven't yet with your own input, and so on and so forth. But I'm going to continue on here for those that are actually interested in like learning the full extent. So make sure to listen through the whole video, otherwise you're only going to get pieces of how Cambly works. And then they go into the tags here. He says a lot of these are new at Cambly, but they do a good job at averaging more qualified tutors. For example, if you've reached a certain TESL or similar certification, this will show up as a tag under your profile picture in the tutor pool. So obviously, if you have more certifications and you have more experience, you're going to get more exposure to these individuals. And as you can see here, it's really worthwhile to spend time making a good profile. A lot of my current regular students, as you can see here, he has regular students that call him consistently, and that in turn means he's getting paid more consistently, or because they had found something interested them in his profile. If you're finding that you're not getting a lot of people telling you that they looked at your profile before calling you, try tweaking it, as he says, and he had managed to change his a few times to find what worked. And he says a large amount of students on Cambly are professionals that are learning English to advance their career or study abroad. And he says try to cater to that by thinking about what you could offer to these ones. And here's some of his suggestions: that you have interview coaching, literature, business English, international test practice, pronunciation, grammar, technical English. In general, he said he's found that focus on something instead of saying you can do anything. I think jack of all trades, master of none is a common concept in many cultures. Then, in conclusion, he says that it could be a great way to be location independent while the pay isn't great. If you live in North America, there's a really popular job among native English speakers that live in Central and South America. I recommended that people sign up if they're thinking to get into TEFL online. There are higher paying jobs out there, but Cambly is easy to get into hiring. So essentially, Cambly is kind of like Fiverr, if you guys are familiar with Fiverr. It's easy to get into, easy to get some work and some experience, and then you can move on to the better paying English tutoring jobs if it's for you, and you can get some proper certification and you can get a much higher pay than what Cambly offers. Except breaking into those further markets without that experience, you're going to have a really, really hard time doing that. Then he says he breaks down it into a video here, which I'll be linking in the description below because it was very good content. And let me scroll up here. See if there's anything that's worth covering that I didn't yet. He says, so here's a highlight here that first day is not going to really work out. It's going to take you a few weeks to get going on Cambly. Then he's talking about the point in which you spend more time talking than waiting, so it's not something where you can sign up for the first time and again instantly be getting a good rate. For a lot of people, it seems to take upwards of a month. I'm going to read some reviews here. Some are negative, some are positive, just to give you guys a little bit more of an idea of what Cambly is and how it works out. As this guy says, this is an ESL tutor. So a fairly recent review as of October 12th. He says, don't waste your time with Cambly. How this company has avoided being sued is beyond me. To hire almost anyone, like I was saying. So this is kind of an introductory kind of tutoring website that you might be interested in if you're having a hard time getting it accepted into actual English tutoring websites. But unfortunately, that being the case, that makes it easy for both tutors and those that like to have fun with you to get in there and kind of be relatively cruel in that. And as he says here, you're not going to get to tutor the whole hour. And he did the math and he averaged about $6 an hour. The other guy said he averaged about 5 to 8, so that seems to be about ballpark for you. And students can rate tutors from 1 to 5 stars. Your first couple of weeks, you don't have a rating. Once you do, 1 or 2 reviews, less than 5, can cause you to lose access to the priority hours, which essentially means that you're not guaranteed at least a 15-20 minute window where you're going to get actual work. Doesn't like completely eliminate you off the website, but obviously it would be something you'd have open in your website or your tab or something on a browser, and then you get a little alert that says, hey, someone wants to tutor with you. You can kind of flip back to it. Personally, I feel that Cambly would be beneficial if you are, let's say, trying to multitask with other work from home jobs, which I'll list in the description below. You can also check out the channel to subscribe to for that as well. Is a positive one. You can say working for Cambly, you can meet interesting people, learn about their languages and cultures. They have some positive about tutoring on Cambly is the opportunity to meet and help people all over the world in their quest to learn and improve their English skills. Relatively vague review, but it's fairly recent, so I guess that's a positive. Seems there's technical problems, and this person, although he gave a bad reviews, he says the only positive thing is you're guaranteed to get paid every Monday, so that's a plus. He said that this other guy says some of the students in Cambly are good, but most are not serious about learning English, and they think they can become fluent in English. Just a few chats with tutors in Cambly who may or may not be qualified as a teacher. As far as management, it is laughable, as he says. You have little to no contact with staff, and you often must put up with technical glitches, which management blames on the tutors. And he says, work there if you are desperate. And like I said, I feel this is more ideal for those that might speak English but aren't like within the U.S. necessarily to utilize. So, and or combination of this plus other work from home jobs, which I'll be listing a variety of ones that might offer a selective work here and there, or you work when you want. So in the gaps for Cambly, you can be doing that. Or you could be talking to someone and doing that in the background because it's only a video chat. Basically, they see you, you see them, but you can still do the other stuff in the background while you were talking to that individual. This guy says, I love Cambly. I'm a highly qualified, experienced ESL professional, so it's work I could do in my sleep. But I actually enjoy the students a lot. You have complete flexibility with your schedule. So he likes that there's flexibility to it, but he says that it's not ideally the best paying one, but it's easy to get into. And I figure he gets better clients because he has all this professional certification. So he's probably picked more often than the beginner tutors, which is a lot of where these reviews seem to be coming from, are those that don't have the certification. So keep that in mind. He says this company does not care about you or your needs. If you message them with concerns, they say thanks for your feedback, and then you're told you're wrong. And that sounds relatively harsh. I think a lot of these bad reviews are necessarily more so from those that don't have the proper certification and or are just starting, and they're there's going to be bad apples, of course, in any website or any job that you do, so you got to keep that in mind when you're utilizing websites like this. There's more negatives than some more positives. This guy's pros are work at home, flexible hours, fun students. Sometimes it might be enjoyable. Other people seem to be a little bit more negative about it. This guy says it's erratic pay. Obviously, you don't get a lot of flow to you, but I figure you'll get more of the priority customers as you grow and you're staying there longer. Sorry about that. And a rewarding and unique job to have. Well, you can say Cambly is a good online company that allows you to work from the comforts of your home. You're your own boss at Cambly. You set your own work hours. A work from home job. Don't listen to those suck ups. Don't listen to the company shows here who want you to believe it's the greatest place ever. Those are the many, many problems that it has. A lot of the problems, I think, fall on the end that they have a more open acceptance to every kind of tutor, and the certification kind of, with a lot of other websites that require it, are kind of lax, so keep that in mind. But I think this gives like a ballpark idea of what Cambly is and how it works and things like that. If you have your own input, make sure to list it below, but essentially you're looking at anywhere from $3 to $10 an hour, probably closer to the $6 to $7 range once you kind of get into it. And if you think about it, you do this and you do other jobs that pay very similar, you could probably push in about 12 to 18 an hour through the combination and the multitude of other things. I mentioned QME before, for example. You could be doing that in the background. You could be doing other things in the background as well. You can kind of mix and match to fill in the gaps. And salaries here, the average salary is $10.09 an hour. And then it says salary satisfaction. A few people think they're being paid fairly at Cambly, obviously, since it's not a certification required. I can kind of see why they have lower pay. Now, if it was certification required, I don't feel that the pay that they pay is necessarily the best, but they're an open acceptance and they accept a lot of people. So it's a very nice job to get into if you just want to kind of learn and get the ropes of things. In regards to the actual website functionality and things like that, I guess you'll have to try it for yourself. Of course, if you have before, make sure to leave the comments below your own input in regards to that. Discord chat as well if you want to check that out. A lot of stock alerts, a lot of freelancing tips and things like that, and more input and educational material for freelancers. So make sure to check that out in the description below as well. And have a nice day. Thanks for listening in.